Gothletts, welcome to the episode of Stories to Fall Asleep to. This week we are talking about the Krampus. Don't know much. I do know that popularity has run over the years. Locally we have something called the Krampus Run, where people dress up and there's parades and there's festivities. It's quite spectacular to see. So grab yourself a drink, get comfortable, and we will begin. All information is sourced from podcasts, books, and websites. Please don't forget to like this and check out Dead Chatty's other content on our social media channels. Where I can, I will leave links to these. So, what is a Krampus? Krampus, according to many sources, is son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld. Doing a little bit more digging and research, this seems to be a new invention by an American author. Gerald Broom released a novel in 2012 called Krampus the Yule Lord, and this seemed to be the Krampus's origin in the novel. So even Krampus's story is forever evolving. Krampus comes from Austrian's Alp region folklore. He is described as half monster and half goat, with fangs, horn, a flicking out forked tongue, and dark hair. Krampus punishes the children who have been misbehaving. He drags them down to hell and devours them, basically. I think it's one of those ancient ways to keep children in check. His name is derived from the German word for claw, Krampen, which does add to this frightening aspect of this being a scary dude. I do have crotch goblins, and they'd actually probably want to meet Krampus. They're a bit like that, and my children. Krampus is seen by many as the evil counterpart to Saint Nicholas. We will look into Saint Nicholas a little bit, just because he goes along with the story. So some of you listeners may know Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of children, hence the association with all things nice, Christmas, gift giving. So yeah, Saint Nicholas is associated with Yuletide, and he tends to begin his duties in different cultures around the beginning of December. Whilst I was researching this, you can see that Krampus came into being before Saint Nicholas came about. It's a bit murky, there's not a lot concrete, but a lot of the folklore and stories where Krampus was around before Saint Nicholas. And again, Saint Nicholas will be mentioned numerous times because Krampus and Saint Nicholas are so intertwined as the history becomes more present. So, origins. It's thought that Krampus is part of pre-Germanic paganism rituals surrounding the winter solstice. An article published in 1958 discussed an observation that anthropologist John J. Let me see if I can get this right. Hongiman wrote, and he quote, "The Krampus figures persisted and by the 17th century, Krampus had been incorporated into Christian winter celebrations by pairing Krampus with Saint Nicholas. End quote. Just saying that even his research shows Krampus was there before Saint Nicholas, and they both got intertwined. As previously mentioned, I can't find any concrete information, but most of what I have found all seems to have the same stories intertwined and molded to suit the changing attitudes of religion. One thing I didn't think of when I was looking into this is obviously paganism is a religion. I didn't think how heavily Christianity, yeah, I did get that right, and Catholicism would play whilst looking into Krampus. Pagan elements can be seen in the Krampus's attire and teachings. So the Krampus carries the Ruten, which is a bundle of birch branches, which he sometimes swatted children with. You know, they're misbehaving or they're in his way, let's just swat them out of the way. I'm unsure if the birch has kept any of its significance, as it is quite a significant tree with pagan roots. Birch is the first tree in the Celtic tree alphabet, Ogham. And obviously Samhain and Halloween was the start of the Celtic year, and rebirth was celebrated. So the fact the Krampus comes round, you know, soon after Samhain, it all has those pagan elements to it. So during the celebrations, birch was used as a purification, and bundles of twigs were used to drive out the spirits of the previous year. So could this be the symbolic of driving out the evil from children? Could that have been passed down and brought forward? Seems likely, but again, there's nothing concrete there to say it. A couple of sources that I did find say that the legend of the Krampus originates as a German Christmas tradition during the 12th century. I also did find quite a lot of sources supporting the pagan origin as well as this one. It was kind of 50-50, so I thought it was worth mentioning. As with most things, there's regional variations on the Krampus. Some representations have a whip instead of birch branches. Krampus can also be seen with a basket strapped to his back or a form of sack, or he could have a sack tied around his waist or be carrying one. It's basically to put those evil children in because they're going bye-bye. And I mean, maybe, Krampus was used, as I said earlier, as that let's get children to behave. And there's definitely a lot in Christianity where children who misbehave get punished. So both origins, are quite likely. As Christianity was sweeping and beliefs were changing, so did the beliefs and the representation of Krampus change. We see it all the time. Most of the information that I could find was from this time. So the information I've got from now, there's quite a lot supporting it. Quite a lot of different sources, different places. So the first mention I can find is in that 12th century. And this is the information I'm using for the festivities and dates surrounding Krampus. So some sources say Krampus is seen carrying large chains even, which symbolize the binding of the devil by the Christian Church. This also coincides with the Catholic Church trying to banish the Krampus celebrations because he looked a bit too much what they thought the devil would look like. So again, it's all this suppression of people. So what were these celebrations that they held in the 12th century? So on Krampusnacht, Krampus night, according to folklore, it's the night of December the 5th when the Krampus appears in towns. There's a few variations again, and there's regional as well, which I can find with what happens on that night. But basically, this is the gist of it. So one is Krampus visits on his own and he punishes the naughty children. Another variation is that the Krampus would leave rotten bundles so that the children in the households would be reminded to behave, or have the Krampus come and thrash them with the birch branches. Good visual reminder there. The final one I will mention involves the Krampus and St. Nicholas. Again, we see them intertwined, visiting together on Krampusnacht. St. Nicholas in these instances is not to be confused with Santa Claus or Father Christmas. He does evolve into that, but it's a whole another story. So St. Nicholas gives gifts out to the good children, and Krampus gives out coal and the rotten bundles, in some of the stories anyway, to the bad children. The next day after Krampusnacht is Nikolastag, St. Nicholas Day, and that's the 6th of December. This is the day the children would receive the gifts, if they'd been good. If they'd not been good, they would awaken with injuries or not be present at all because the Krampus may have eaten them, he definitely would have beaten them. They could be in hell that morning. I think, again, you can get into the aspect of, was this used as an excuse to beat the crap out of kids that misbehaved? We're going back hundreds of years, who knows? But throughout the centuries, the church has tried on several occasions to banish the celebration of Krampus, but it's persisted. People have liked it that much. It's carried on. Through hardship, it's still going. In the 1890s, the Christmas card market started. I think it started a little bit before then. And also postcards, because there was more travelling. We had steam-powered boats, trains. We had means to travel the world and experience all these cultures. And this opened the way for Krampuskarten. So Krampus cards. And I may have to try and find some original Gruß von Krampus. My German's really bad, I apologise. Which are greeting cards from Krampus. Well, it's greetings from Krampus under the cards. Many of the cards are said to depict Krampus leading children away in chains, stuffing them into sacks, and going after them with sticks. Some cards were even a little bit more risque. Like Krampus proposing to women and what was being bared. But I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole nother rabbit hole I'm not prepared to go down. Krampus, although all that was coming around in the late 19th century, Krampus didn't have it easy coming into the 20th century. Austria's conservative Christian Social Party tried to get rid of Krampus around 1934, and luckily it didn't work. To try and preserve culture, ways were thought up to keep Krampus alive, and this included the popular Krampuslauf, the Krampus run. And I love this activity. It's the one I mentioned at the beginning. So it involves costumes, alcohol, people having fun. So during some Krampuslaufs, men will dress up as Krampus and run through the streets, frightening children in their homes. Krampus Run doesn't have a specific date like Krampusnacht. It just tends to happen when it happens. It tends to fall on the weekend nearest Krampusnacht. And it's a great way for grown men to dress up, have a drink, and let off steam. And this is one of the reasons they believe they introduced it, was you could let off that steam. Now, it is customary to offer Krampus schnapps during all of this. I mean, do you think Krampus loved peach schnapps? I mean, when I drank alcohol, I liked peach schnapps. I would definitely save any shots for my bestie. You get loads of different flavoured schnapps. You could literally go from house to house and have a schnapps run. Anyway, I digress. So some of the costumes over the years have become more and more elaborate. Many have also gone back to traditional costumes made from animal skins, animal horns, and hand-carved masks. But nowadays you get your latex, your fur fur, they do the resin hoofs, they go to town. Some of them are absolutely fantastic. And during modern Krampuslaufs, you can often see Perchen joining the festivities. Now, Perchen is another Germanic pagan spirit of folklore and is often represented as a female. Again, there's a whole nother backstory to that pagan spirit as well. But they kind of have mixed it in, bringing different elements to, this Krampuslauf. And soon Krampus made it big in the US. We knew it was coming. It always ends up going. And due to this, we now have novels inspired by Krampus, low and high-end budget films with Krampus as the main protagonist. It's grown in the US. They have Krampus runs all over the country and make it quite a big event. And I think another reason Krampus has seen such popularity due to the fact we're looking for different ways to celebrate the holidays. We're evolving as civilization and in some respects going back to our roots, our origins, our traditions, and we do have the ability to go worldwide and find different cultures and not necessarily steal them, but celebrate them. It's also with the rise of the anti-heroes, and there's rebellion in the air. In the UK, there's recessions, there's cost of living crisis. Krampus is a refreshing change for many nowadays, let's be honest. And that is all I'll mention this week. Thank you so much if you've made it this far and for listening. Before I go, I will let you know that on the 2nd and the 3rd of December 2023, so this year, in Whitby, North Yorkshire, England, there is the annual Krampus run. So I actually didn't look at it when I was going to do this podcast. I just thought, you know what, I'd best check out when it's going to be, and it's just coincided quite nicely. So again, thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your evening.